Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. Good evening. Let me see. Can you hear me? Can you see me? So, we just a minute early. Oh my gosh, look at my hair. Oh, and I need to take off my name tag. Get that taken off. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Kaylin. I appreciate it. Looks like Sue Me was the first one here this evening. Good evening, Sue Me. Good to see you. Scott Hummer, good evening. Patty's Garden, Shenanigans. Wow, look at all these fantastic people. I think I said Theoxerus, but if not, Theoxerus, welcome. Good to see you. It's getting cold in your part of the world. Higgy Homestead, congratulations. If you do an entry now, you'll notice that your name has a wrench behind it. Made you a standard moderator this evening. Utah Mike, good evening and welcome. And King Corso, ditto. You are now a standard moderator as well. So that gives us the authority to get rid of anybody who is not kind, polite, and respectful to the other people. I ask you just I asked you to moderate yourselves so that we keep this family. I see all of my subscribers as being part of our family, and so I expect to treat each other. Well, I expect you to treat each other nicer than family. How's that? Suzanne Goulet, good evening. Let me see who else. And that looks like it might be it. KP Heathen. Wow. Holly Ivans. Yeah, everybody's starting to show up. All right, that's great. Hey, listen. We've only got a couple chapters left. I think we're on 24, 25 this evening, or is it 23, 24? And we've got a total of 30 chapters. I still have not found a book for the November last Thursday book club. It's going to actually be the third Thursday instead of the fourth Thursday because the fourth Thursday is Thanksgiving and there is no fifth Thursday. So what I may do is I'm going to try to find a thin fiction that we can do for this month. That's what I'm still looking for. And we will try to get that done. I will try to have it in the notes tomorrow morning on this podcast. So if you come back here tomorrow and just take a look in the notes, the description of the show, I should have a book for you tomorrow. I'm looking for a short one because we only have about 2.5 weeks left to actually do the reading. But we got a great book this evening. Oh my gosh, let me tell you. Mr. Jones has really put an awful lot into this book. It's a fantastic primer for you to have in your library. I strongly recommend it. We're only doing about 10 pages, 10 or 20 pages this evening. Very short, what he's written about, but of course we can always make it a little bit longer with a little bit more content. Let me get my glasses. So I'm kind of running. Actually, I left our Society of St. Vincent de Paul meeting is the first and third Monday of the month. They've changed the time. It used to be that we met from 6 to 7:30. Now they meet from 6:30 to 8. So I have to leave the church early to come here for this. And I was supposed to give a presentation this evening. I was the disaster coordinator for the floods we recently had here in Central Texas. As a matter of fact, I brought home a certificate from the bishop for my work during the flood relief over the course of July, August, and September. Helen has it somewhere, but anyhow. So that's been occupying a lot of my time. But gosh, this is a phenomenal book, and I'm glad I'm here with you to discuss it. Let me see. Shenanigans saying hi to everybody. Okay. I saw my name in red, so I figured, I better answer that. But there's Shenanigans saying hi. Hi, Shenanigans. Okay, so chapter 24, Resistance in an Occupied America. There's a phenomenal book out. It's written by a Swiss guy. It's the last part of it's Widerstande, which is resistance. Oh gosh, what is it? Let me check here. Just a minute. Der totalische Widerstande? Totale Widerstande. Der totale Widerstande, which is total resistance. So it has been translated into English. The guy's name is Hans van Dijk, and but it's available on Amazon. You can either get, like I did, the original version, which was written in 2000. Let me see, when was it written? Gosh. Anyhow, I have the original, which is only $10. And then if you get the more current one, the original one is 2010, and the most current version is 2024, and that's $20, twice the price. I don't know if it has more stuff in it or not, but anyhow, it's a basically he's telling you how to do booby traps and all kinds of stuff, how to do total resistance in case the country's occupied. And we're going to get into 3 different types of occupation this evening. So he quotes John Steinbeck, "The Moon is Down," about Nazi occupation of a Norwegian town during World War II, and the resistance movement is engendered. And it says the flies had captured the flypaper. Here. The first sentence of the 1965 book, I was wrong, Total Resistance by Swiss Army Major Hans von Dachburn reads, the author is fully aware of the fact that he has touched upon a difficult and unpleasant subject. Yeah. And so everybody was afraid back in the 60s of Soviet occupation, Soviets coming across the border and attacking either through the greater North German plains, border between East and West Germany, the Fulda Gap, and the, because I was always in 7th Corps, and that was the Fulda Gap. And I forget what the gap was in the Central 5th Army, or 5th Corps District was. Meiningen Gap, the Meiningen Gap. But anyhow, and so they had 25 divisions in East Germany and Czechoslovakia just ready to pounce us. And we only had 4 divisions in West Germany, and the Germans had 12 divisions. So it would have been somewhere in the vicinity of 25 Soviet versus around 16, 18 Allied. The British had 1 division, the French have 1 division down in southwestern France. But it would have been very close to a 1-on-1. That does not count the follow-on forces of the East German forces, the Polish forces, and everything else that the Warsaw Pact had. So you have to put yourself in the mind frame of where Major von Berg was, or von Dech was, in the 60s when he wrote the book. But anyhow, military occupation, highly unlikely. Unless it's going to be phase 2 or 3 of what's going on. If I were a Chinese general right now, looking at the United States and wanting to occupy the United States, I would say, let them destroy themselves. We are doing it, and Abraham Lincoln told us we would do it. We're doing it from within. We are so divided that we're going to make it easy pickings for whichever country wants to come in and take our country. That's just all there is to it. I mean, look at, all we want to do is maintain the budget the same way it was on September 30th, and we can't even agree to do that in order to keep the country funded and our military paid and everything else. So if you take a look at the division, we are ripe for somebody to come in and occupy us. We're going to destroy ourselves. I think that the opportunity for us to be in conflict with each other is very, very high. I can't believe the amount of animosity in our country one side has towards the other and vice versa. I'm not going to say it's strictly related to one side, both sides. When you get intrinsically entrenched in one position, no matter where it is, to the point to where you're unwilling to listen to the other side, that's where conflict happens. And we don't want that. We need to do more listening and less entrenching. But we're ripe for Chinese takeover. That's all there is to it. We need to prepare ourselves for that. We need to love our fellow Americans, and at least listen and come to some sort of consensus on something. There's domestic occupation. So basically, they're just going to impose their ideology upon us. That's basically what's happening with the Muslim extremists. And I want to separate, there's a difference between Muslims and Muslim extremists, okay? So the extremists, the ISIS, the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, who are in the country, have different values, the Muslim Brotherhood, than does the typical religious person. So we have to separate those. But I want to make you aware that there are extremists who want to domestically impose their will upon us. And there are some areas that is happening where they are capturing the majority vote and imposing their society, their social values upon us. And so, we have to be aware of that. Then there's technological occupation. And that's basically what President Trump was fighting with the TikTok thing, is that, TikTok was having a unpleasant indoctrination of our youth and people. So there's an opportunity for us to impose. Well, I guess I can't restrict it to that. We have to kind of enlarge that to include even our mainstream media as far as news, because they can pick and choose what they show us, and that kind of frames your mind as to what the country is. I would love to see a very central news like we had up until 1968. I will say, what was his name? Well, the NBC had Chet Huntley and David Brinkley, and then CBS had Walter Cronkite. Walter Cronkite was the most respected person in the United States until Tet 1968. In Tet 1968, he changed how he delivered the news and went from being a news reporter to an event analyzer. And that's what we've had ever since. We don't have people who just report, here are the facts. What we have is that we have people who want to interpret those facts and then present them to you in such a way that you don't have too much room to envision something other than what they're telling you. And so by that way, they are influencing the way that we think. Good evening, L-Dog, and welcome. That's a new name for me. So happy you found us and joined us. So just beware of that the technological occupation is already here. We are being controlled and manipulated by the news that we choose to watch, by the news that we choose to inculcate into our lives. I once saw a chart that showed, who's left, who's right, who's center. And the bad thing is there's very few that are center. I mean, there's a little bit of center left and a little bit of center right. I can take that. But really, pure center, there is nobody. And maybe we should start that ourselves. What do you think? Okay, so passive resistance can be done against us by forced gun registration, restrictions of the types of guns, ammunition, and magazine capacities. We see this happening right now in several states. Special taxation on guns, publications, organizations, confiscatory taxation, regulation of the press, radio, TV, or internet content, restriction or harassment of non-government organizations. We've seen that especially with the Catholic Church because their stance on birth control and abortion. We've seen a lot of preemptive things done against that. There are some things that are happening and going on that they're just questionable. Repressive medical system control and manipulation, rigged or manipulated election processes, I have been suspect of the election process since 2000. So one of the things I want to make sure you are aware of is there is a difference between an absentee ballot and a mail-in ballot. And I am all for absentee ballots. That's how I voted when I was in the Army. Now, the way that happens is they would send you a ballot in like triple envelopes. So it took a commissioned officer who was commissioned by Congress, and you had to vote in front of that commissioned officer. So what they would do is they would verify on your ID card that you were the person who was on the outer envelope for whom that ballot was sent. Okay. So then he would take that ballot out, hand you the ballot. He would then do the verification on a separate form that says, hey, this ballot was checked by me and the ID card matches the person who is going to vote. I would fill out my vote. I would put it in an unmarked envelope. That unmarked envelope would then go inside another envelope that contained his statement that I am by the person identified by ID card that the ballot was mailed to. Then all of that got stuck into another envelope that mailed to the balloting center. Okay, so there's all this process to verify that I am the person who is voting and that I am eligible to vote. Well, the 2000 election, do you remember that one? That was between President Bush and Vice President Gore. And it became famous because of the hanging Chad. They had the punch cards. And so if the person didn't punch hard enough, it didn't cut through the card. So they started taking a look at dimples. Did a person push on it and not cut through? Were there any other dimples on that same row? So they started counting dimples. It got very close. So what they did was they said, okay, we're going to throw out all of the military absentee ballots, and military is pretty conservative. We're going to throw out all of the military absentee ballots because they aren't postmarked. And we can't prove that they were mailed before the election cutoff, even though they were there before the election cutoff. So one would think, they have to be mailed before they can be counted, and they were counted in the election day count. So, but anyhow, that wasn't good enough. They had to be postmarked. Here's the thing. No military mail is postmarked. And here we are, 25 years later, they still are not postmarked. So it's crazy. But so basically what they did was they used perfunctory objectionalism, if you want to call it that, to eradicate one group of people who predominantly vote in one direction and try to steal the election that way. So we've got to get a better hold on how we process our elections and how we count votes. I am very happy. We voted early. We have 17 constitutional amendments here in my district that are for the state. And so Helen and I voted last week in the early voting. And, we are now doing those on marked sense forms. So they print them on an 11 by 17 or an 8.5 by 17 form. And then you blacken it in with number 2 pencil. And then that gets read through a card reader. So I'm a lot happier with that because there is a way to recount it if necessary, should somebody question the electronic counting. Okay, strikes, work stoppages, and slowdowns like we're seeing right now. Basically, one party is on strike saying we aren't going to do anything until you give us what we want. Boycotts, demonstrations and marches, non-cooperation, non-compliance with regulations, black market, underground sale of survival items, underground press, radio, and internet programs. Unfortunately, that's where I'm finding the majority of my good news. He gives a whole list of different passive resistance, that how you can do that. Active resistance, once you get occupied by a foreign force, that's basically going up militarily against that force. And that's what that book, Total Resistance, is all about. Let me see, we got all kinds of good comments here. So tomorrow's election day in Virginia for governor, praying the communist CIA operative does not win. Tomorrow's election day pretty much nationwide. So I voted early, but Texas is voting tomorrow as well. Mark Monsieur said that the USPS does not postmark on the same day anymore. They are sent to the main hub where they are stamped. That's absolutely correct. I owned a shipping center. And so when I did first class mail, people would ask me to postmark it, and I could not. I did not have a postmark stamp. And they would ask me for receipts for first class mail. I could not give a receipt because they wanted something to show that they had mailed it on time. But I wasn't even allowed to give receipts. You have to go to the post office to get a receipt. And the only way you could get a receipt was basically if you purchased something special like um, signature required upon delivery or certified or registered mail. Let me see. So Suzanne says, I'm old enough to remember when the conservatives, when ultra conservatives want to go back to women needing permission from a husband or father to have a bank account. I don't think that's, I haven't seen that, but I'm sorry that you're seeing it, but I have not seen that. And I would fight against that as well. Let me see. So that's Higgy. That's important that you vote. Utah Mike, I'm glad you're voting in person tomorrow. That's and Shenanigans mailed his in or hers in 2 weeks ago. Yes, that's the same thing here, Keelan. Same way we do it here. Wow, Shenanigans says that her father uh, had his ballot here with her and passed away 5 years ago. San Bernardino will not remove him from the rolls. That's unbelievable. We definitely need to fix that. Okay. Active resistance, mass arrests, relocation of political dissenters, foreign control of American economic and surveillance systems. I think surveillance is going. I don't care for parts of the Patriot Act. I fully believe in the First Amendment, and we have freedom of privacy, and that really gets to me. Suspension of the Constitution, gun confiscation of any way. I lost my Uzi. I had an Uzi carbine, and there was that period there where it was outlawed, so I turned it in so that so I'd be in compliance with it. And I paid, I think when I bought it in 1981, I bought it at a store that no longer exists, and I bought it in my Ruger Mini 14 at the same time, about a week apart. And the Uzi was outlawed, even though it was a carbine, single shot, and I had to forfeit it. Bought it for like $185. Now you can't lay your hands on one for less than $2,000. It's unbelievable. Disbandment of non-governmental organizations, suspension of the Constitution, gun confiscation of any kind, mandatory carrying of government monitored cell phones like they do in China. So there's all kinds of ways that we can talk about active resistance. Open borders that effectively negate the rights, safety, and privileges of American citizens. Methods of active resistance on our part include sabotage of government and private vehicles and equipment, blockading access to government facilities, support for state, multi-state secession movements. He's got a whole list here. Tagging or painting with slogans and resistance symbols in public areas. Armed preparedness. I saw one today. There's a woman. I guess she spent 4 years in the Army, and I don't. It doesn't quite make sense to me what she's doing, but maybe it does to you. She's paying for billboards outside of military posts. And the billboard says to remember your obligation and follow the Constitution. And I don't understand why she's reminding the military of that. I can tell her exactly what my oath was. I said, I, Leroy E., do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the officers appointed over me in accordance with the Uniform Code of Military Justice, so help me God. So there's three things in there. Number one, I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Number two, I will obey the orders of the President of the United States. And number three, I will obey the orders of the officers appointed over me. So I don't know what she thinks. I don't know why she's doing that, but then again, some people just do things differently, I guess. Um, okay, just do me a favor too. You know, if you're going to resist an existing government, any administration, just do it peacefully and do it through the ballot box. Some of the stuff that we see going on, the violence, the destruction, and things like that. What most people don't realize is that turns people like me, who try to be in the middle. Maybe I'm a little bit right of middle, but people like me, when you are violent, that turns me against you. It doesn't turn me for the other side, but it turns me against your side. And if I only have a choice of your side and the other side when it comes to the ballot box, I'm going to remember the violence, and I'm not going to vote for that. So, if you're considering violence, just understand. I think there are a lot of people who think the same way I do, that we're going to vote against violence and vote more for unification than there are people who are going to vote the other way, right? That are going to vote for you because you are violent. So that's kind of those 5 or 6 pages that he has on resistance in an occupied America. Now he has a lot in here about wartime unarmed combat, and I meant to show you, but I left it over there. So I'm going to put it in my Saturday haul. I forgot to put it in my last Saturday haul. One of the things, I have to use a cane to walk. My feet, I have severe neuropathy in my feet, which means that there's a tingling sensation in my feet. I can't feel, I have no feeling in the bottom of my feet. And so when I walk, I don't know where the ground is. So I can stumble and fall pretty easily. So I have to use a cane, and that kind of helps me judge where the ground is so I can walk better. And I found American cane fighting. So as a result of finding that, I now have, instead of a regular medical cane, I have a cane fighting cane. And but the American cane fighting cane is a medical device because I have neuropathy in my feet and handicap plates on my truck and everything else. So that means that I can take that with me on an aircraft. So I've been trained in how to fight with it. It's basically the same thing as collie sticks or any other kind of a short bow fighting type technique. So it is a martial art, but you can use your cane. And one thing about the one way you can tell, well, there's 2 ways you can tell pretty much. Well, let me go grab it and I'll show you. So the good thing is that walking between here and where I keep it, there's all furniture, so I can hold on to something while I'm walking. But anyhow, the horn on a fighting cane is a lot bigger than the standard horn that you're going to find on a regular medical cane. A regular medical cane is going to probably have the horn about here. Well, that's so that you can spin it. It's going to spin naturally in your hands so that you can use it and change positions or change grip or anything else. Then the other thing you're going to notice is, for example, right here, this is more like a dagger. So it's going to have a very sharp point, so you can use it and rip rather than the blunt end that you're going to see on most canes. Then I chose to have the rips stop the entire length of the cane. So what that does is now you have basically like a heavy duty sandpaper. So when you hit somebody and you pull, you're basically ripping the skin as you pull. Another way you can tell these is you're not going to have a big rubber toe. You're going to have these smaller plastic toes. That way you can use the end of the cane as a blunt force trauma instrument. So you can thrust with it, you can slap with it, you can do all kinds of things with it. and I paid a little bit extra to have mine paracord wrapped, simply because when you do some of the thrusts and when you do some of the strikes, okay, having something that's dry that you can get a good solid grip on is really, really good. So what does a cane like this cost? Right at $300, to be honest. They get measured to your size, and then of course the training is extra. But I probably have about $1,000 invested in cane fighting so far, to include my cane. And but it's something, and you can practice in your backyard, and it's really neat. I can't practice in the house because it's just takes up too much space. Gosh, my hair looks totally unmanageable. Suzanne Goulet's got a new phone. I need to turn the autocorrect off before I smash the phone with a hammer. Amen. When I do my phone, and I'm trying to text, for some reason, I get an extra B, which is where the space bar is, right there by the space bar, or a C. And so I'm always got B's and C's that are just randomly thrown into where it should be a space. If the Chinese do take over, we should have more access to acupuncture. So let me tell you my experience with acupuncture, cats, and perping. That's a very good comment. I was attached to Special Forces Group, and we did the counter-terrorist stuff for the 1988 Olympics in Seoul. And boy, those guys, let me tell you, I'm barely qualified to shine their boots. They are phenomenal. But anyhow, so because I was an officer, we were working with the Korean CIA. They wanted me to play golf with the commanding general, so I took my golf clubs. That was, all officers were expected to take golf clubs to Korea. So the day that we were supposed to play, he put us up at a hotel, a really nice hotel in downtown Seoul, and it had marble stairs. And when I walked out, it was raining, and I stepped on the stair, fell down the stairs, and broke my ankle. So I played 9 holes of golf on a broken ankle with General Han. When we got in, he said, "Did you hurt your foot?" And I said, I think I broke my ankle. And he took a look at it. My ankle was about this big around, and it was bad. He says, "Okay, I'm going to send you to my personal doctor." So he put me in his staff car, had his driver send me to his doctor, who was an acupuncturist. Well, in 1988, we were really concerned about what was that disease that you got by needles and everything else. Big scare. So anyhow, I was really afraid to have a needle stuck into me. But this acupuncturist, his doctor, started sticking needles in my broken ankle, and the swelling and the pain went away. But then hepatitis, no, it wasn't hepatitis. AIDS, thank you, Higgy, that's it. It was AIDS. So anyhow, within 15 minutes, the pain and the swelling were both gone. And then he looked at me and says, your ankle's broken. You have to go to a Western doctor to have it x-rayed and set. So then they took me back to Yongsan, which was the military hospital. And sure enough, it was broken, and they put it in a cast. So the whole thing about that story is acupuncture works. I am a total believer. So thank you for bringing that up. I am convinced that it should be included in our normal regimen of medical care. But then I'm kind of I believe in a lot of things that work that we shouldn't include in our medical care. I think a lot of homeopathic medicine has a lot of validity to it. Okay, so, and we're talking about wartime unarmed combat. He talks about improvised weapons. My improvised weapon basically is my fighting cane. You can use your body as a weapon, your fist, your palm edge, fingers, forearm, elbows, knees, foot, head, and teeth. Mike Tyson used his teeth. He did an ear off one of his opponents. So yeah, there's an awful lot of stuff. And then he talks about where do you want to go? Where do you want to attack using these bodily things that you have to attack somebody. He says the targets for disabling punches, jabs, and blows: eyes, nose, I don't know if you know it, but if you push the nose up, you can actually cause brain damage. So using the heel of your hand into the nose, up into the brain can cause damage. The jaw, if you break, you can, especially with a cross blow, not necessarily a direct trauma blow, because that'll probably dissipate it, but a cross blow can definitely dislocate their jaw. The throat, use your palm, come across to the throat. Not your palm, but the edge of your hand, kind of like a karate chop. You can also use your knuckles. So fold your knuckles and go for the throat, and that's a good one as well. Probably would not want to use a straight fingertip jab. All of these are also targets for the cane. Okay, the neck, the back. So when we use the cane for the neck, for the back, you can either go for a full neck wrap and pull them down and then knee them into the nose or anywhere else, or you can use the pointy part into the spinal cord and use that to try to break the spinal cord. Then the solar plexus, which is basically the bottom of the rib cage, elbow, knee, and finger joints, abdomen, kidneys, groin, and shins. I will tell you that because of how many people nowadays wear body armor that's supposed to be protective against any kind of a dagger strike or pointed object strike, it'll dissipate the strength of any blunt object or traumatic strike, and it also stops certain firearms from penetrating. I have the intention of never going for the body. I'm either going to go for the groin or for the head. Those are my two target areas, simply because I'm afraid that somebody may be wearing body armor. And now they have underwear, Kevlar underwear. Now, you can still use a blunt force to the Kevlar. It'll dissipate that blunt force over a larger area, but let me tell you, it can knock the air out of them, that's for sure, okay? So you want to make sure you know that. Hand-to-hand combat tactics. If you haven't, get some training, some basic martial arts training, some basic boxing training. I would say just get some sort of self-defense training. There's some fantastic training out there for women, and I strongly encourage you to get it. It does things, my keys are over there as well, but it does things like teaching you to put your keys on a key ring and then putting your keys in between your fingers so that when you strike, you basically have the equivalent to a set of brass knuckles, but they're pointy. And you can use those to scratch and gouge as well. So be aware of the actual or potential direction of an assault. Head has to be on a swivel, a 360 swivel all the time. There are certain things they're doing to distract people nowadays. One of the most common ways that they want to steal your car once you've unlocked it is they will have a bill, usually $20 or something like that, that they've dropped close to your door, so that as you unlock your door, you see the $20 bill, you bend over to pick it up, and bang, they've got you and your car. So don't bend over for any bills in the parking lot when you're shopping. Don't get your arms so full of baggage. I mean, if I only have one bag, I still push a cart, because one bag plus my cane, I'm a little bit more of a target. If I'm pushing a cart and I put my cane inside the cart with the handle up, okay, so I always have it in the cart this way so that I can grab this, okay, and then you can always use it as a fulcrum and go for the crotch. So it's very easy to get out, very easy to rapidly deploy, and but that's how I do it. I always use a cart. I won't carry a bag unless it's just one of those little small handbags that you can easily carry. I will do that. If necessary, initiate a preemptive assault. Now remember, at least here in Texas, if you are in danger, if you believe yourself to be in imminent danger, you can strike. Now, imminent danger can be verbal assault as well, okay? So check with your local laws and make sure you find out where you are as far as imminent danger, and how that describes itself. Never turn your back to an armed or capable enemy. Never get distracted or tunnel visioned. Now, when this is just me and 21 years of military intelligence, and Helen knows that when we go into a restaurant, I will never have my back to the front door. I always have to face the front door, and I try to sit as close to an emergency exit as possible. So those are two things that I always want to do. Kaylin says she doesn't have a car, so she'd pick up the $20. Yeah, if I were in that position, I probably would too. So Tammy, so I use the cart in lieu of the cane as something to help me walk and judge where the ground is, and Helen, pretty much cooperates with me on that. She lets me push the cart all the time. Avoid close contact. Avoid hand-to-hand combat when possible. If the opponent has a pole or club or a longer reach than you do, get inside their swing radius. So that's a good point. Okay, so if this is only good right out here. So if you come in closer, if you're here, this isn't going to do me any good unless I flip it around and use the horn and come at you. Okay, so that's the only way I have. And my strength drawing this way is nothing like forcing it this way. Okay, so if you get inside my reach, then this is pretty much negated, and you're going to have a lot better chance. So the closer you are, the less strength they're going to have to come at you. So just remember that. Avoid being tripped or knocked down. Keep your balance. Avoid knife fighting. Even if you win, you'll certainly sustain one or more cuts. In a knife fight, the majority of cuts are going to be on your defensive arm. Okay, so people will put their arm up to defend themselves. As a matter of fact, in cane fighting, they teach you to put your arm across your chest so that nobody can strike you in your solar plexus, and you're going to use your bone here to defend yourself. And so, that's very typical. In knife fighting, you've got your knife here, you got your defensive arm up here. So if they're slashing, you're going to put your arm up, and it's going to slash you across your ulna. So you have to be very, very careful of that. Knife fight, it's not clean. The other thing is, one of the things that they found out from researching a whole bunch of prison fights is slashing never does anything as bad as stabbing. So if you are in a knife fight, just remember a stab does far more damage than does a slash. And Sumi, I know you're a nurse, and you may have seen these in your emergency room days, but let me know if you kind of agree with that, or if I'm. Krav Maga. That's the Israeli hand-to-hand combat. I tried to take that, but gosh, it was expensive. So I didn't take it because it was expensive. If you encounter more than one assailant, the best thing to do is run. That's all there is to it. Just keep moving so they can't maneuver close to you. And it's always preferable to be in a group. So once SHTF happens, never, ever go out alone. If you read Soko Begovich's My Year in Hell, his year of living in the Serbian-Bosnian conflict, they never went out alone. And they always had an overwatch person, because if two people go out and then you have a third person back here watching over, then as these two people go, if somebody comes in behind, you've got the overwatch person who's going to let them know you've got somebody behind you. So they always went out in groups of three, two up front, one watching the other, and then the third one is an overwatch. And I think that's a very wise thing to do. We want to maneuver in groups rather than all alone. So that pretty much covers these two chapters for this evening. And other than mental and physical conditioning, excuse me, I'm in terrible physical condition, but I try to do the best I can. I can do push-ups, I can do sit-ups. My core is pretty good. Some of my, I think I've got pretty good strength in my arm. I got pretty good biceps for my age. I try to exercise on my triceps more than I do my biceps. My biceps are so doggone flabby because of my age, and it's embarrassing. I want to strengthen that up so it turns into muscle instead of flab. I don't like being able to jiggle my triceps, but I can. I do 15-pound tricep curls on a regular basis, and I think that we can. I think you can stay in good shape. You want to You want to concentrate more on stamina and flexibility than you do on strength. Okay, but concentrate on doing some exercises. Concentrate on your mental strength, and that's really important. I'm just finished reading a book, and I can't remember the name of it. But it's basically how people survive and how some people don't in certain disaster situations. And it's a phenomenal book. I strongly recommend it. Let me see here. Maybe it's in my Amazon account. So books, returns and orders. And disaster. Survival. Oops, that's not in my accounts. Okay, so I'm sorry. I'm trying to look this up for you. Survival. That's not a good word. Survival. There we go. It is obviously. Oh, there it is. It's The Unthinkable. Who survives when disaster strikes and why? Fantastic book. You need to start getting things that are going to get you mentally prepared for the terrible things that could happen. So it's Amanda Ripley, Who Survives when Disaster Strikes and Why? The Unthinkable. Fantastic book. I strongly, strongly recommend it. And anything else you can get on being mentally tough. And part of that, one of the ways we get mentally tough is put yourself through exercises. In the Army, we're taught to react. Not as good as the Marines. Let me tell you, the Marines are phenomenal. They basically, everything the Marine does is a reaction to a stimulus. And they are trained for almost every negative stimulus there is. Those guys are good. They react instinctively. We train, we're good, but those guys are really good. Special forces are super good. I like I said, I'm barely qualified to shine the boots of a special forces guy, and I'm an officer, and they're enlisted, so that'll tell you what I think of our special forces. But they train on a regular basis. I mean, they will go through a mock house, 20, 30 times in a day. And then and there's no hard feelings. You screwed up. You did this and you should have done that because this and that. And they are really, really brutally honest with each other. And they'll really tear each other apart. And then after it's all done and everything's fixed, they'll go out and get drunk together. But gosh, it's great. I will post a link to the book. Let me see if I've got it here real quick. There's my religious library. There we go. The Unthinkable. I'll have to put it in tomorrow morning. I'll get a link for you. Or tonight. I'll stay here and get it done after the show. I'll put it in the show notes. Okay. So that's pretty much it. Now, an announcement. I purchased, they do this on Survival Dispatch. I really admire them for it. There is something called Conflicted. Okay, so I ordered the Conflicted cards. And these are scenario cards that they put together. And they give you a scenario. Then they ask you to discuss it in your group. So we have a group. So I'm going to ask a couple people. Rick was on here a couple times from Survival Magazine. I'm going to ask him. I'm going to ask James Jones, the author of the book that we're currently reading, to be another person on it. I would like to get one of you on, invite you on, and get your opinion if you're willing to be on live and be part of that panel. And then I'm also thinking about, and I've sent out an invitation to John and Terry Grammer. Now, we're going to be doing his book 4 for a fiction book for the month of December. Okay. So, but I would like to invite John and Terry Grammer, James Jones, Rick, and then one of you to be a panel. And then what we'll do is we'll just have 5 or 6 people on here on a live one night a week or once every 2 weeks, whatever you all decide you would like to do, and discuss, what would you do if? So let me give you an example of what one of these cards says. The one we did on Survival Dispatch, the last Survival Dispatch I watched, was an old woman and a young girl come to your door. And they're starving and in need of food. What do you do? Okay, so let me get my reading glasses. The economic collapse has happened. The infrastructure is gone, and your people are getting hungry. Your neighbors are starving and starting to scavenge, looking for food to feed their families. You've prepared and have what your family needs. How would you keep your stores safe as you use them and avoid becoming a target to those around you? So that's the question. And then, of course, we would have the panel each give their own personal, this is what I would do, take a minute or two to think about it. This is what I would do. And then we would, after everybody gave their opinion, we do it without judgment to start. And then after we give our opinion, then we would say, I like what you said here, but I don't think this will work. So maybe the panel of people together can come up with a good response to, what is it that might be appropriate. Now, remember, when I say a good response, situations are different. Kaylin lives in an apartment. Sumi has, 100 acres. I live in a suburban, what would you call this, community. So everybody has different things. And so, when I say the best, it has to be modified depending upon your individual situation. So, nothing is concrete. Nothing is concrete. So what do you all think? Would you be interested in doing this? If so, how frequently? And let's see if we can't get frequently decision this evening. And then would you like to participate in a panel? And if so, how frequently? If you would like to participate as a member of the panel, do me a favor, send me an email at coldwarprepper@outlook.com. And, I may have 2 people from our group, and then we'll rotate that around. You'll get to see what each other looks like. We'll get to see what we think and how we think. And, we'll just do a little bit of learning together. How would that be? So, okay, so Theoxerus bought 2 decks 10 years ago and have never had anyone to play with. Oh, wow. Well, Theoxerus, this is deck 2. Deck 1 and deck 2 are no longer available. I had to buy this on eBay. So I would be more than happy to do deck 1. But Yeah, so I think I'm kind of excited about it. Um, if you would like to participate, let me know. If you have somebody you think would be a great person to have on the panel, let me know. So right now I'm looking at John and Terry Grammar, and don't forget to support them, please. Their channel is Salt Creek Living. Uh, somebody like Tom Sarge from Prepping with Sarge would be phenomenal to have as well. But I'm thinking of Rick, and I'm thinking of James Jones. So, somebody like, oh gosh, Pete. Pete's channel he's out of Midland, Odessa. But he would be great to have as well. I would love to have somebody like Rudy, Alaska Prepper, but I'm fairly certain that we're too small a channel for him. So, but let me see what I can do. Let me see if we can't get this going. And Sumi doesn't have 100. She only has 15 acres. Okay, well, to me, that's 100 acres compared to my quarter acres. So, that's 60 times my size. But anyhow, the roaming prepper. Thank you. That's Pete. Thank you very much. So yeah, there's some great people out there that we might be able to get. Kaylin, yes, I agree. Gil would be great, especially his FEMA experience. I have heard that he's having some problems with YouTube, and so I'm not sure if he can participate in a live yet or not. I haven't seen him on for quite a while. But if you know that he's on, please let me know so that I can follow him again, because he and I had talked originally about doing a joint show. Yeah, he has some great ideas. I really like him. Okay, he is on again. Okay, great. Then I'll have to check that out. Which channel is he on with? Do you know? Because he has two channels. He has his homestead channel, and then he had his prepper channel. Camp Patton. Okay, Camp Patton Compound. Great, thank you. Then I'm fully subscribed to that. I'm wondering why I haven't gotten any notifications. Okay, so anyhow, I've got to get you a book, the fiction book for the month of November. Remember, we're going to do the third Thursday instead of the fourth, so I've got to find a short one. I owe you the link for the book that I mentioned on mental toughness. And is there anything else I need to put in here tonight? Somebody wanted to know something about the cane, American cane, I think. Oh, he was upset with YouTube overpayment. Okay. I haven't received anything in months. So, but we got 20 people here tonight, 21 people here tonight. So I'm not going to make that much on this one. However, should you decide that you want to give a donation, or should you watch a whole bunch of my videos and I make something, I think right now I'm sitting at $96. That's either with YouTube or with Amazon. I don't know which one. And they don't pay until you get 100. But please remember that when anything I make off of YouTube and or Amazon, 25% goes to the county food bank, 25% goes to my friend Scott, who is the commander for the local Salvation Army. 25% goes to the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. So, and so that was the meeting I was at just before here. So, 75% of the money that I make on Amazon or with YouTube gets given back to the community for people who need more than I do. So, so just remember that as you watch the videos, that you're helping people with food pantries and things like that, and in whatever way they need them. Okay, so I think that's it. Send me emails. Let me know a couple things. Let me know, number one, would you like to participate online? Number two, what night of the week would be best for you and what time, okay? And just a general yes, I want to do it, or no, I don't want to, or no, I wouldn't watch, okay? And let's see what we can get going. Thanks, everybody. We'll go to the book of Numbers, chapter 7, verses 24, 25, 26. And it says, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and grant you peace. Remember that we're all in this together, so we can come out the other side together. Please be kind, polite, and respectful to each other as much as possible. I get frustrated sometimes with some people that, and I've lost my cool. Matter of fact, I got kicked off the channel because I lost my cool. And I was totally disrespectful to him, and I apologize for that. But golly, we got to do this together to get through it. Okay, and remember, especially since you can't go out unless you're in two people together. Take care, everybody. Okay, bye-bye.